I've been dreaming of making over this corner of our home into the coziest coffee nook for 3 years. And I'm so excited to have you here along with me as I put out my first YouTube video and walk you behind the scenes of the journey of how we got here. The first thing was to modify this bookshelf. So this piece has lived many lives. I originally marketplaced it in Montreal, where it was a bookshelf in our living room there. When we moved across the country, it was a bookshelf here. And then when my son was born, we did some modifications. My partner extended the back and added doors. And it became a little closet for his clothes. And then now when we were coming to put this corner together, I just saw that it could so perfectly fit here. But to make that happen, my partner had to do some modifications. We had to take off the bottom, and I still really like the legs, and I can see reusing them. I kind of see doing a side table with them in a bedroom, like between two beds, but I don't like to throw anything away. So if I can even potentially see that there might be a use, especially for a piece of furniture, I'm not going to throw it away. So while this is going to live here, hopefully for quite a long time, those legs might get to go on and live another life. So the first thing that he did was to fix up the back. He added this piece here to continue what was going on above. And then he added these grooves so that it could fit nicely over the counters. And these curves. At first it was just like an angular shelf, but when we put it in this place, I saw the way the light was coming in the window and I just knew it needed curves. I just think it adds so much character. So like there's like the trim and like the cover, it feels very angular, and the kitchen was missing a lot of those curves. So I just think that really helps to balance the space overall. After that, it was time to fill in the holes. I personally like a piece of furniture that looks like it's had a life. So I'm not aiming for perfection when I'm filling in the holes and getting it ready to paint. I like a ding. I like when you can see a scratch and kind of just imagine the life that it's had before. But I did spend a bit of time cleaning it up and cleaning up around the piece. At the same time, my partner was working on our new countertops. So when we moved in, we inherited some builder-grade countertops, and we used them for a while and it worked, but we knew that when it came time to fix up the kitchen, that we were going to invest in a bit of an upgrade. So I went with wood. It adds such a warmth. So when I was dreaming up this corner, I knew I wanted a bench here, not just a coffee bar, like not just to have this hutch section, but to turn the corner and make it feel like a little nook. We needed storage. We have a young family. The kitchen is quite small, so I knew any opportunity to add storage, we needed to add storage. So we thought maybe we would get something pre-made, maybe we would make something from scratch. And then one day we were out for a drive, and just there in the back roads on the side of the road was a bench. We took it home, we took off the top, and I had thought maybe we'd use it for toys storage, either in my patio or somewhere else in the home. I didn't have a tape measure or anything, but we threw it in the car, drove it home, and it perfectly fit. When it came to the cushion, I imagined it to be a cushion that had a zipper down along the bottom so you could take it off and wash it. But I didn't have that much confidence in my skill set to be able to do that. So instead I did a hybrid approach. I started by just making a template with the fabric. So I laid foam down on my piece of fabric and I cut the corners so that I would be able to hold them up and then stitch them from the inside I figured that's the area that would get the most like wear and tear. I didn't have enough fabric to cover the whole back of the cushion, so I also sewed up just a very simple rectangle with some thrifted fabric that I had, and it worked to cover that missing piece on the back of the cushion. And then I just put in the foam cushions and fabric glued everything over the back. I wasn't sure if the fabric glue was gonna stick, so we put a board over it overnight, and it worked. While we were working on this coffee corner, my parents were undergoing like a major gut renovation. And as we were removing some of the wall paneling that we're going to use in our home, in behind was a pretty retro wallpaper. I didn't know what I was going to do with the wallpaper, but I had a vision of it maybe going in behind the hutch of the coffee bar. But the colors were a bit too vibrant for me. So I thought maybe I would whitewash it, and nothing really happened. So instead I thought, well, maybe I'll sand it off. Like maybe that will give me that antique look that I'm going for. And all that looked like was wallpaper with white paint that had been sanded off. So I scrapped that idea because what I wanted most was to just save the butterflies. Like when I first saw the piece of wallpaper, it was the stenciled butterflies that I just thought were so beautiful. Over the next couple of days, I thought maybe I would just scatter some butterflies in amongst the bookshelf. I also put some of the butterflies up above our window in our kitchen, but sitting with it for a couple days, I realized it was just a bit too whimsy for me. I like a touch of whimsy, but it was just too many butterflies. But I still wanted to use the butterflies somehow, and I had the idea of making them into an art piece. So collecting my favorites and piecing them together to use them as a piece of art in our home. What was really interesting after the fact is I realized that it was kind of a cool sentiment of like saving the butterflies, especially because it's something I've been actively trying to do since moving in this home. I'm trying to plant butterfly-friendly plants, and I've just become a lot more aware of our impact on nature and how we can plant things and use our homes to support wildlife rather than take away. So I just thought it had this like really sweet sentimentality of saving the butterflies. And so if you also want some butterflies in your home, I created a download so you can go grab these pieces of art on my website. The final thing was the color. I'm not that adventurous when it comes to color, but I thought originally that we might do our cabinet green. Our kitchen was green when we moved in, and I thought maybe that would be a nice way to bring that color back in. I also thought blue. I have been seeing a lot of beautiful blue kitchens, and I tried that, but that wasn't it either. I then thought maybe just white. And I like a white. I actually felt quite comfortable in a white space. But I did want to push my comfort zone, so I went with oatmeal. It's a pale yellow. There's a bit of a green undertone to it, and I thought that paired really well with what was on our walls, which is delicate white. Delicate white's a really great color. There's no undertone. It's like a nice, pure, fresh white. So it goes really well with most things. But I especially thought for that fresh look, these two colors looked really well together. Okay, I'm going to finish up painting and then finally styling. My paintbrushes. When I use them, I put them in the fridge between, but these have been used and used and reused and used and reused. By the way, this is my first YouTube channel and first YouTube video, and my first, I think I've had channels actually in the past related to my other work, but this is the first time that I'm finally following through to put myself and my ideas out there. And I guess for so long, it's because while I love home decor, and as much as I love a thrift flip or like finding something on the side of the road and rethinking it and repurposing it and bringing soul and story and meaning into the home, like as much as I love that, I've never thought of myself as good at that. Like I was good at other things. Like I was good at writing, and I went to school for social work. I was always good with people, and I never allowed myself to be good at this. And I think the people around me have often said, like, you should go into interiors, you should be doing design, like you love to curate and you love to think about what things could become and make spaces better. But I just, for some reason, I just could never see myself as good at it. So I'm challenging myself with this YouTube channel to not be necessarily good at this, but instead to follow the joy of this. I just want to make my coffee corner nicer. And so I'm allowing myself to just do that. It's like this concept of taking yourself seriously, but at the same time not taking yourself seriously. So I know that I don't really know how to sew, and that's okay. Like I can learn that. I'm going to style this up and it's going to be fun, but it's not going to be perfect. I'm going to want to change it, and that's okay too. So allowing myself to just, live my joy and take you along in my joy. Maybe find like-minded people who also just love to make spaces nicer. So maybe through my journey, you might also be inspired to take yourself, like your life, your home more seriously, but at the same time, not take yourself seriously at all and just follow your joy and follow the things that, you're like, oh, that'll be fun to do that. Well, do that and see where it goes. And that's kind of how I'm approaching this. It's be fun to just put out a video talking about my coffee corner. And so that's what I'm doing. So I spent last night just collecting all the things that I thought I might use in this coffee nook area. Although it's going to be aesthetic and just like a pretty space, I also want it to be very functional. I'm going to go basket heavy, like heavier in this kitchen, like up along some of the top shelves or cabinets as well. So bringing the basket element over into this little coffee nook, I think would be a really good idea. So this bowl, my partner actually made it from an old phone table. I have pictures. It's really cool. So I'll insert the pictures to show you, but it's one of my most prized possessions and I hope to keep it forever. The other things we're going to be putting in today is the seat cushion. Is it the most beautiful piece of art? No. Is it going to function for us until I improve my skills to make it better? Yes. So I'm really, really happy and proud of it. So my definite yes is the basket and the bowls. I also really love this piece of art. I thrifted it back in the middle of the pandemic for $3.99. Never took that off because I thought it would be cool to look back at. If you like thrifting too, Montreal, I did some of my best thrifting in Montreal when we lived there, and I have a blog post on my blog where I talk about some of my favorite shops. So this one is really special and I do hope to put it up in the coffee nook. I recently got this bowl and I think it is precious. It's two geese and a pear. It's a stoneware from Japan. I loved the border and just the shape of it, like sitting even up high, like even if you don't see the color, the color and the pattern on the inside. I just think it has such a beautiful shape with that. So that's a definite yes. Also thrifted this at one point. It needs another foot on the back. Oh, this is also a definite yes. This is my sugar dish that I thrifted. This is another handmade piece. Deanna Hoke, Canada. And these I also thrifted. They match the color, oatmeal color. Another thing I've thrifted that belongs up there, like just because it's so utilitarian kitchen, is this mortar and pestle. This is also handmade. I think in time it's gonna go over to my oven area when we get to styling that up and finishing that up. That's not even close to a completed project at this point. I have this. I recently thrifted this, and I have 2 little boys who are currently learning things like what month it is and what day it is. So I thought it'd be fun to have. It has these little stars on the side. I just think it's cute. We're a bilingual family. We speak English and French. I don't speak great French, but my partner's from Quebec, so our household speaks English and French. So I like how it had both. This basket I recently thrifted, and I saw it could go in my office to hold things like memory cards or chargers. I thought it could go in my children's play area to hold craft supplies, so different crayons and markers. And I also thought, since we're coming on gardening season, it could look really cute with some of our plants sitting in it. So I might use it up in the coffee bar just for this season. And then finally, I have another cookbook. It's a Canadian home diary from my grandmother. When she passed away, it was in her house, and there's just like a lot of little handwritten notes that she's made. There's a lot of practical information, like stain removal guide. Anyway, it's pretty. It's a pretty color. I found these wooden tulips. They were $1 each, but I just love them. In my boys' play area, I want to collect wooden flowers and animals and put them on the wall. But I also just think they speak to me as like just flower decor, like making them look cute. This fabric here, I got this from a fabric store years ago. I just thought it looked good in the area. I have other fabric that I thrifted. It's old curtains that I want to make into pillows for this area with these like sweet little tulip designs. I'm not going to get to making a pillow today, but I pulled it out, just to see it with everything else. These are the handles that I'm going to be putting on. We're at the hardware store and they had these. I think it was like $2 for a ton of them. So we just got them for now. In time I want to source different handles, but they work for now. And then finally, my flower, my plant, she's blooming right now. And I pulled out this lampshade to kind of get a feel for what a lamp would look like in this space. We have an electrician that did some work in the house already. We're gonna hopefully get him in to put an outlet on the wall, and then we'll cut a piece into the bookshelf to be able to funnel the wires through for the coffee maker and also for maybe a lamp. Okay, so first things. We also have like a basic coffee grinder, and I don't know if I want that to be out. I'm gonna try it now, but look, I definitely need to do something for cord management. Look here. See? Up there. This could be cute for like a couple little tea bags or something. Definitely need our little sugar dish bowls. A sweet bowl. Starting to look very lived in. Yeah, clearly don't want a lamp, but I like the size of this. Yeah, I really think the handles add so much. It's like the color, so it brings down the dark, like the brown of the artwork, which I think is kind of what was missing before. I was like, I don't know how that kind of relates to everything else. And the bowl at the top has those dark tones, and the baskets. And I just really love these. I think this could be one that, you know, switches out fresh flowers and whatnot. But for now, for the beginning of spring, little wooden tulips, I think is really just sweet. It's just a nod, and it brings down the wood into that section. So I don't know. We're gonna figure this guy out. But yeah, that's it. That's the completed coffee nook. If you enjoyed this video, come along with me on my next adventures. I'm going thrifting for my kitchen, so to complete some other areas in my kitchen, as well as hosting my son's first birthday party. So that's going to be a ton of fun to do some DIYs and bring a theme and idea to life. So I will see you in the next one.